Peace, 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 grand rising to the gods and lords of planet Kai. Yes, so I am back to speak out more on the continuation of the story of my life. Things that occurred and took place in my past. The past happenings. And here is where I'm going to get deeper, because I'm going to expose motherfuckers, because I have came to the realization that it has been these same motherfuckers working behind the scene, putting hit on my head, trying to unalive me. Thinking that I was going to expose them, when I didn't give a fuck about them. All that I cared about was bringing out the messages that my ancestors were giving me, the download that I was getting. I didn't give a fuck about a nigga or a bitch. Bitches and niggas gave a fuck about me, because they knew that they exposed their hands for free. And they knew that I was the one who would expose their asses. Yes, so let me cleanse the energy, because I'm going to get deep into it. This rising, this beautiful grand rising. The divine powers that work it within me, I command cleansing and balancing upon my mind, my heart, my soul, and my spirit. I command cleansing and balancing upon my chakras. I command cleansing and balancing upon my energetic field and my aura, ancestors, spirit guides, heavenly hosts, archangels, ascending masters, spirit guides, gods and lords that are of the greatest divine white light, that are of my best interest and high purpose. I invite you all into my sacred space, into this atmosphere. Thank you all for all that you have done for me and are about to do. Thank you for where you have brought me from to where I am now. I love you all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Yes. So, we left off at where I was speaking about this nigga that I was around, who was a friend of mine from a very tender age, which was orchestrated because he was a part of their group. Motherfuckers were grouping up behind the scenes, coming up against me. Though I was blinded to those stuff at those moments, it happened for a reason. Because I am the one who would be exposing, or should be exposing them. And I want to make this clear. I fear none of you motherfuckers. You don't already have placed hit on my head. You don't already have sent gunmen towards me. I have been in situations where I have been around more than 3 killers that were sent towards me. to unalive me, and they couldn't, because I am the I am that I am. I have the powers within. I can make a smart motherfucker dumb as fuck in my presence. I have the powers within. I won't touch too much on that. Okay, and I would like to also say these instances were where I was at the river also 3 different times. Well, I will speak on that further down. Yeah, so this nigga, his name is Yuan Powell. How I met him was online. Was him who, I think he was on Facebook, he sent me a request and, inboxed me and was speaking to me like normal shit, when someone just, like he was saying, he rate me and thing, and he would like to be a friend of mine, and but being young and all these things, I didn't really understand that he was on a mission, another agenda out for me. So as time went by, we had conversations. As I said, he didn't let it be known unto me that he was gay or anything. He wasn't a situation like he was looking me or anything. It was just like a friendship thing. And he used the fact that I was a person who loved football, because I don't remember what they call him, but some leader of community, like he is one of those persons who keep events for the community, like community club, those sort of things. He's from Rocky Point. Yes, so as I said, it was a good while before we even met in person, and how we met in persons were at like football matches, when I went to football matches, like, and he used to come to up by CC at matches also. He's a well-known person, a popular person, because he's in politics and he's a community activist or whatever you want to call him, a community leader or whatever. Yes, so that is what he used to connect to me, and also he knew that I didn't have a father figure playing off that role in my life, so he came disguising himself as playing that role, helping me, and yeah. So fast forward to I think it was, I don't remember exactly, but it was a long while after, I think more than even a year after, he made it known to me that he was gay for pay. And being young and naive as I was, he he was a master manipulator, and he knew that I wasn't into those things, but he was trying to get me to get over on that side of the community covertly, even though it wasn't telling me. But as time went by, I realized that that was what he was trying to do. And as I said, when I left from around my self-proclaimed mother and was around by my self-proclaimed father, after that after the altercation with me and him, and he said I should leave. I didn't want to go back to my self-proclaimed mother because I was thinking to myself, cycles will just keep on repeating. So I was thinking to myself, he was the person that I could reach out to, and I reached out to him and let him know the situation, and he said alright, I could come and stay where he was at. So I went, I was there, and I went for the first time. Things were running cool. As I said, he knew that I wasn't into those stuff that he was into, and I made it clear to him that I wasn't, and he knew that I was a very aggressive person, and he knew that he should not fuck with me anyway. And also, when I was around him for a few months. While I was around him, my plan was to, I was aware of trading and all these things, so my plan was to get some money and start trading and start a life of my own, rent a house for myself and all these things. But I was there around him thinking that he was planning to help me, only to find out that he didn't want to help me because I wasn't up to what he was up to. He was planning to leave. Said he was planning to leave the country, and said he would leave me at the place where he was. Now at that time, he normally would leave in the mornings and go to work. He said he worked wherever he worked, but he had family members that he made me aware of, that even his family members knew that he was gay for pay. So he had family members, and I was an artist. I am an artist. So he knew that, and he made a few connects so that I could connect with his family members who were artists, and most of the times I would go around them and vibe and DJ and all these things. And at one moment it was like there was something in my spirit telling me that that crowd of persons weren't for me, so I stopped going there. As I said, I was around him, and being that I had no money and I wasn't working on all these things, he was the one buying food and all these things. Oh, I came to the realization that he wanted me to submit to whatever he was submitting to was when I started to realize that he had a problem with me even doing this artist thing. He wanted to tell me how to do it, telling me that I should make love songs and all these things. A bag of rubbish. Because he was planning to be my manager. But because I wasn't up to making any love songs and all these things, it's like everything that he brought across to me just wasn't seeming right to me, so I eradicated his suggestions. And I started to notice that he started to treat me just as how my self-proclaimed father would treat me. And there was this day I was there. He wasn't there either. I was sitting on the couch, and because I used to sleep in a couch when I was there. I was there and sitting in the couch, and that was the first time I knew for a fact that my grandmother came and visited me. I felt her in my spirit, I felt her presence. And she told me that I should leave. I had to leave. So I started to pack my things, but also it was when I was there that I was still putting out. I had my social media accounts. My accounts were growing music wise, and I was putting out freestyles and all these things. So I had connects with the cousins of my self-proclaimed mother that lived right above her house, which was also orchestrated, and they gave me connects with this man who they say was a music producer, also a drug dealer, to my understanding. I was told that I only used to hear a story about him, that he was a drug dealer and cops would be after him, and when he came, I heard that he had the biggest house in Brandon Hill, and cops would always be after him, and even helicopter and all these things, but they could never catch him and all these things. He was living overseas, so I got connects with him and made him hear a few of my songs and gave me good feedback. And after, now be mindful, when I was there down by that friend, look at the light, just look at that, look at the light flickering. That's the presence of my ancestors. No, I was saying, yes, so he gave me good feedback about my songs and all these things. He gave me a rhythm. I already had a song, and I just placed that song on the rhythm. I had many songs. I had a big book with songs, a lot of songs. I just placed one of my songs on that rhythm, and he liked the song. And he said he would let me record it and all these things. So I was there, and as I said, my grandmother said that I should leave. So I just got up one day and started to pack my things, and the nigga know that I was leaving, because even though I was around him, as I said, I started to realize the same traits of my self-proclaimed father. We didn't even have any conversation anymore. We didn't speak or anything. It was like we were enemies. So I left, and when I left, I went to my self-proclaimed mother. But no, it was all spell work also. It was like a back and forth thing. Spell work. So I would be around one for a while, then the other will do spell work to cause chaos wherever I was, so that I would return to him or her. That was the situation. Yes, so went back to her and was there for a while. Well, before all of that, that was 2021. Going over into 2022, the end part of 2021. I was spiritual from 2020. I had my first awakening in 2020. But it was always on and off, because they were doing spell works behind the scenes. I got into contact with my ancestors and all these things, but they were always blocking the communications and all these things. There was 2021, the end part of 2021, that I was being hit with spell work, and out of fear I submitted to this Jesus thing, because I was already aware that this Jesus thing was illusion and all of these things. I had knowledge of those things, but it was like an MK Ultra thing where they wiped my mind and had me submit to this Jesus thing. As I always say, everything happens for a reason. Also, when I left from that nigga place, he was texting down my phone and all these things, and apologizing and all these things, and I had to block him and all these things. But I wasn't aware that my self-proclaimed sister and all of them knew who he was. And when I went even around the cousins of my self-proclaimed mother, they would gaslight me about the situation in covert ways, with arguments. But I was thinking to myself that it wasn't me they were speaking, but something inside of me knew that it was. And I even went into a competition. One of them have a child who was going to basic school, and there was this competition about Father's Day, and they said to build a father song. I built a father song where I was saying, "Fathers rise, lead and be wise, your children are your future, open up your eyes. Teach them the truth and nobody disguise." Me said, "Don't mislead, cause you might have surprised to see your youth on star." Yeah, something like that. I don't remember all of the song, but it was built based upon the flow of an Movado song. And that song won the competition. I was supposed to go to the school and perform the song. And I noticed that they also got prizes because the song won the competition, and I didn't get shit off of that. They didn't allow me to get the opportunity to go and perform the song. They only made me hear feedbacks of the persons who heard the song and all these things. So as I was there, I started to find out that they were enemies. Confirmation. Started to find out that there were enemies working against me behind the scenes. I also got to understand that they knew the nigga. He won poet also, because as I said, they all are part of Covens and they all orchestrated these things. So I cut them off. Now over the years, my self-proclaimed mother would always tell me about them, because she would always tell me that they are Obia workers and all these things. They were always in fights and all these things over the years. Family fighting against family. And as I said, 2021, the ending part, I went through an awakening, but only thing was I was stuck up on this. Well, not really upon the Jesus thing, but more so sticking to the Bible. I started to read in the Bible, and things started to reveal to me now. I would also like to make this clear. I've always been spiritual from a child. I've always known things that I wasn't supposed to know. Like I would see something and just ask myself a question and I would get the answer. I would hear voices telling me the answers. I didn't know that that was my ancestors and spirit guide speaking to me. I thought it was just a part of me, or yes, it was a part of me, but I just think that it was, I don't even know how to explain it, but I just knew that I knew things. If someone was lying to me, I would just know that they were lying to me, even though I wouldn't make it aware to them that they were lying to me. So I knew a lot of things that they think that I didn't know. I always could see through the illusions of things, and as I said, family members fighting against family members. I was trying to unite them. I was trying to bring them together, but I was told that their father was the real voodoo man. A man who had even junker, catch the junker and had that junker on the basket and all these things. And most of those persons had a history in the church. If they didn't have history in the church, their parents did. And also their father, who they said was the Hobia man, was deceased. And also that self-proclaimed mother and them had a lot of wars. I'm talking about wars where they were going to even courthouse, because they had fights and all these things, so they were back and forth in courthouse and all these things. And that was also a traumatic experience for me, because it was like she wanted me to stand up for her, being such a young child and she had brothers who I thought were my uncles. They wouldn't stand up for her, but she wanted me, who was not even her child, to stand up for her. Like, it was like a situation where she wanted me to kill them for her or something, and I was like, no, I wouldn't do that. They did me nothing and all these things. She always have this thing where if she doesn't deal with that person, she don't want me to deal with that person either. So that was her thing. So as I said, 2021, the ending part, I started to read up on the Bible and started to watch videos of prophets and all these things, and they were prophesying and telling me about my life because they were picking up on my energy. They were prophesying and giving messages, and there was this prophet also. He was a more old time prophet. He wasn't too much a follower of the New Testament. He didn't speak much about Jesus. He was speaking mostly about the Old Testament and the teachings of the Old Testament and all these things. And he was teaching on the gifts. Most of the things that I found out about my gifts, I found out them through him. I found out how I could speak to God, when and how God was speaking to me and all these things. Even though he had false teachings, some of those teachings helped me. Yes, so I was getting more and more awakened and enlightened until one of the day I was there and I heard this word shalom. And when I searched it up, I saw that it was a word, a tongue, like when you're speaking in tongues. I was like, whoa, this shit is deep. So I was there, I always was getting visions, but I didn't understand them. But as I said, I was listening to prophets and all these things, and they were telling me to write down my visions. When my visions started to come clearly, I would have a vision about something, and it would happen the other day. It would happen 2 or 3 days after. That was how it was. And I was there and I started to let them know that they were up against some very dark and evil entities and forces. I was there, my spiritual ears popped open. I could hear things they couldn't hear. I could see things they couldn't see. So it was a situation where the ones top side where I was, which was the cousins of my self-proclaimed mother, were sending evil spirits towards her and me also. That was where they saw for the first time me really going to work. They sent spirits and I sent back the spirits into the swines, into the pigs. They had pigs. The cousins of my self-proclaimed mother had pigs, and I sent back the spirits. I sent them into the swines, into the pigs, and it was the first I have ever heard a pig making sounds that the pig was making, like just groaning. You could literally hear the spirit within the pig, they knew what was happening and all these things. I started to fast. I started to fast and stop eating meat and all these things. And the more I read the Bible, I used to read the Bible every single day. I used to sit in the sun and all these things. I didn't understand what was really taking place, but I understood to some extent. I